Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Talk Cocky with me. Talk Cocky with Me is proudly sponsored by McCraw Media. McCraw Media is owned and operated by fellow Gamecock Sydney McCraw. Sydney has been a Gamecock fan since birth and grew up going to USC football games. She has a BSBA in marketing from High Point University and is at the forefront of social media marketing. Sydney has been working in the marketing industry for the past 4 years and decided to start her own agency. McCraw Media uses analytics to study your target market and industry and builds a personalized marketing plan to grow your business or brand faster than the competition. McCraw Media has 4 different plans of service. They provide strategic, tactical, operational, and a flex plan that allows them to be flexible for all. Contact McCraw Media today to see how they can help grow your business at mccrawmedia@gmail.com. That's MCCRAW media@gmail.com. or 803-517-2441. Mention Talk Cocky with me and get a free market breakdown included in your initial consultation. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I've been telling y'all I had a couple of things lined up for you. This is the first. This guy, which way's fingers? This guy right here, you probably recognize him. The one and only Sheldon Brown, probably known, of course, by The Hit in the NFL. I think he probably made a little bit bigger name for himself up there with that hit than some of the time here. But you've probably also recognized a little different border here. Give me a little bit of feedback on that. Drop some comments there. Sheldon, before we get started, I actually go ahead and say what's up to Gamecock Nation.
What's going on, Gamecock Nation? I appreciate all the love and support through the 1 in 21 days, and you guys deserve everything you're getting. Appreciate the love.
It's funny. I look back at you and we were talking just a second ago, Squeaky and all that, and I think of the great players that we really did have back then. And then when it comes up 121, you're like, damn it, how in the hell did those guys and then instantly, boom, you had the Outback Bowls and stuff. But what I was going to say, have you Googled yourself lately?
I have not. No need to.
When you Google Sheldon Brown Wiki, a bicycle mechanist comes up before you.
Oh, now I do know that, but I hadn't done that lately. But that was going on a while ago. Yeah.
What is a bicycle mechanist?
Yeah.
What is that?
Now, don't they have something like a bird or something?
There's a bird watcher. Well, no, there's another one. There's another Sheldon Brown. He's like a bird watcher too or something. He was 2 or 3 down from you. And I'm like, what is this?
Crazy.
Now, growing up, my dad had the same name. This is back in phone book days. And he had the same name of a guy that had a peach orchard nearby. So people always called asking for his peaches. And he finally got tired of it. He goes, yeah, your peaches are ready. Come on, come get them. And he told about 2 or 3 people that their peaches were ready. And they stopped calling our house. I guess the guy got tired of people showing up for their peaches, started telling everybody, nope, you call me. This is my number. I think right now the first thing we have to talk about is the Eagles Sunday. DB for the Eagles. Was it or was it not a flag?
Well, I think football right now, my opinion, is a joke defensively. Those guys, that's the way they survive and feed their families too. We know the risk and reward of the game, right? So if the reward is worth the risk that you're taking, then you play the game. once that reward is not worth the risk, then you retire, you quit the game. So every individual out there playing that game understand what they're doing. I think they're handcuffing defenders. And I personally think if you start finding officials or taking money out their pockets, like you take money out of the players' pockets, I think the calls will get a lot better.
Yeah. And I'm so people.
So I'm gonna say it was definitely no flag in that moment. 1,000%. When I played, it was definitely not a flag.
Oh no, definitely not. My thing, like, so I've been a basketball official for quite a while now, so I'm kind of on the other end of a lot of these debates where I'm like, in the moment you see certain things, you make a reaction, but looking back on that, holding or not, I'm not going with the whole storyline of the NFL is scripted. They know, and all this. I think that's a little bit much. I think there's too much money in sports now. And I think you've got a lot of bets going on and guys trying to curb it a little bit. What I saw was a grab. He reached out. Yes, his hand grabbed a pad, didn't interfere with the play. Receiver kept going. The ball was overthrown 20 yards. To me, looking at it, I believe that was called holding for two reasons. One, it's a judgment call. Can't be reviewed. It's holding. We're able to move the sticks. Chiefs get to move further. Judgment call, can't defend it. Two, if it's pass interference, they can come in and say it was an uncatchable ball. Pull the flag. So they called it a holding because it was protected two ways that nobody could come in and change that call. And as an official, I look at it and I'm like, that's the last thing you should have called. If it's kind of a borderline, especially at that point of the game, my dad always told me late in the fourth quarter, we do not decide this ball game. If it's egregious, if it's obvious, blow your whistle. I
agree with that.
If it's, touch here and there, let the guys decide it. But it was an uncatchable ball, in my opinion. And I feel like they intentionally called it a holding to where they could advance the ball.
So what I don't understand is this, though. Like, with so much technology within the NFL, right? Why can't they say, okay, within 2 minutes of the end of a game, we're going to review all calls and we'll make a decision, right? I mean, there's so much money invested in that game, and there's so much people jobs on the line. You know what I mean? There's some assistant coaches that could get fired from that. There's some players that will never have another chance to play in the NFL again. I mean, the magnitude of that call hits people in the gut where, the normal citizen wouldn't understand. That's their livelihood. So I think they should review it. Why not?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, kind of on the review thought process, the way it always is supposed to be is indisputable evidence. Yeah. There is no review that should extend beyond 2 minutes. And I'm being very generous by giving 2 minutes. If you cannot look at the footage, say, this is what happens, then it's not indisputable evidence.
With the technology they have, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you should not be sitting there 5-10 minutes trying to figure out, well, did he catch? It looked like the tip of the ball. Hey, it's a game. It's a human sport. Like these games grew to the level that they are now without this technology, without worrying if the leather or the threading on that ball just crossed the line. Like we were able to survive for hundreds of years without it. Like, let's move on with it. But beyond sports, I know you've got, you got a lot of things, got that sign behind you and everything. You're doing a lot of good things in the community that you came back home, didn't move to Atlanta or some big city. Tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing now.
So I'm a little old school. I'm an old soul. I was that way in college. You know what I mean? I was like Charlie Strong. I had khaki pants on, collared shirt, tucked in, belt. You know what I mean? I came back when I was done with the Cleveland Browns, and my son was a young boy, so we started a baseball organization called T24 Baseball. It was local rec kids, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Drew Myers. He's down there doing something real good things in Charleston right now with his son in the baseball program.
What's the T24 stand for?
Team. Team 24. So I wore number 24 my whole life. As a little kid, I remember my first day at Carolina in the team meeting room. Bruce, my secondary coach, Coach Bruce, God rest his soul. He was like, he put on a little highlight of me running around as a Tiger Mike. He was like, I wonder who this little knucklehead is. And no one knew, and I saw the screen, and I knew it was me, and I was wearing number 24. So he was like, that's going to be your number here at Carolina. And I wore that number my whole career, except my rookie year when I first got to Philadelphia. I think Blaine Bishop, he transferred, or he was a free agent, came over from the Tennessee Titans. So he wore 24 for that one. That number is like my lucky number. I'm betting everything if I go to Vegas on 24.
There you go. That's me with number 5. Mine actually started. So I always wore, actually, are you there? Looks like you froze a little bit. So we're back, had a little technical difficulty there. We're back in these rural parts of the state. We have some issues with internet. I had Spectrum come out yesterday. They're like, oh yeah, we can service you. And then he comes out, he goes, there's not a port to hook up to within a quarter of a mile. I said, yeah, I know, because I'm in the sticks. But no, so we were talking about numbers and everything. Yeah. So I grew up, I was number 24 for Ricky Henderson, and then number 23 because Jordan. I mean, even playing baseball, I still had to rock 23. Then when I made it to high school level, again, rural parts, they just had these jerseys made, and the smaller you were, the lower number you got. And I was always one of the smallest guys till about junior year in high school. So I was number 5, and that just kind of became my number. And that's been my thing ever since. And when I first started dating my wife, she had already had a house, and the house number was number 5. And I was like, oh, it's meant to be. We here we are. But also saw, you got the establishment there, the facilities with your training and everything. Are you still doing was it Brown's Corner?
So when COVID hit, Brown's Corner took a big hit.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah, with being able to communicate and get the kids in, and especially in my hometown of Louisville. Mm-hmm. Well, a little behind the 8 ball, but transportation was a big issue. So we had to disband Brown's Corner after that era of COVID.
Yeah, hopefully you can get some things rolling again and get that back up, because I looked into it a little bit, and it was a really cool thing that you had going on. What I really liked most about it was, especially in today's world with all the technology, everybody with their head down in their phones and stuff, you don't have the interaction that you used to. And I really loved the way, like I saw an interview that you did where they were talking about it, and it was just really cool how you created that environment to where the kids were able to have friends, and they could talk with a mentor, and then bring that back to the parents, to where if it was something that they were a little hesitant to bring their parents, they were still able to bring it in that way. Like it was just a really cool set. Like I was sitting there watching it last week when we were talking about setting this up. I'm like, damn, that's actually a really, really cool idea.
Well, it's real life social skills.
Yeah. Which people are losing. So anybody in the community and stuff, if y'all are interested in something like that, I don't know if he's still wanting to pull that back up, but y'all definitely need to look into what he was doing with Brown's Corner. It is a really awesome situation and setup and how they had that. But it was really cool. So what, kind of getting back to ball a little bit, one of the things that I asked Zabari the other week, and I'm probably going to do with every interview because I think it's pretty fun, not included in the Bush hit, because that's your Clowny moment. You were the first Clowny. He was trying to do his best Sheldon Brown. There we go. Not including that at any level, what is the best play you ever made?
I would probably say, man, I've had a lot of plays. So, I could go back to the Outback Bowl to seal the deal kind of against Ohio State in college. And then trying to think the biggest play. the biggest hit I've had in the NFL besides Reggie Bush was on Steven Jackson, who was probably 235, 240 as a corner, helmet off and everything.
Yeah, that was so we'll actually do this. I started sharing the screen since I recorded the other day. Give me a second. I did pull these. Let's see. Bam. So we got this one here. So I'm a Cowboys fan. So you going up stealing one on Irvin. And
who is that? No, that's Reggie Swinton.
I was just about to say, as soon as he turned right there, I said, that's not Irvin.
Yeah, that's Reggie Swinton.
Because let's be honest,
but I also put him to sleep later in that game.
Well, there's I thought it was the very next play. Where'd that go? Hold on, let me find it because you did it. Oh, there it is. Boom. That hit was just but it was funny. Like I was sitting here, rolling through some of these highlights and stuff. 90% of your hits would be flags these.
Oh yeah, I'm suspended. Massive pay cuts. Yeah.
Like it's so crazy. And I guess while we have it, just in case somebody's been sleeping under a rock, never saw it, this is the infamous Reggie Bush hit that we were talking about. So actually, let me pause this here. As we go back to this, how many times have you seen this play?
A million.
In the moment, did you realize that you were about to just absolutely clean his clock?
Well, I knew this because we played them earlier in the year, and they was running this pick wheel on our linebacker when they caught us in man coverage. You can see right there how you have that steal shot. You see Jeremiah Trotter, the linebacker. Yeah, we are communicating right now. We know the play is coming. Okay, so a little bit before that, I showed man press, like the corner at the bottom. And when the same play. See how Rod is walking down the press to right wide receiver. No, on the other side of the field.
Down here?
Okay, he's going to line up and press. I was down there and pressed before they snapped this ball, but I backed out. Pre-snap read, I started to back out when Drew got under center. And I went to a cover 2 shell look.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I thought my receiver was going to go pick Trotter so Reggie Bush would be open on the flare. So we played like a cover 2 system there. And I mean, in practice, it was timing up the same way. We played them earlier that season, and they killed us on that play on film.
And my man is just hurt. He's hurt. So I thought we were going to get a further angle back to show you dropping back and just coming in, but here you go. Yeah. So you can actually see there too, exactly what you were saying. So you're here in coverage and it looks like you're running man to man, but you can also see your head's looking right over.
So I see pressure on front side of Drew Brees. So I know the ball has to come out quick. The wheel is no threat to me running deep.
Jeez. But again, they're probably going to call some useless defenseless receiver and stuff these days, but
I agree. Defenseless receiver, that's what they'll call it.
But that's football.
Man, that's how I learned how to play, and I turned out to be okay after the game, I think.
Yeah, I understand player safety. I get trying to take away some of the head-to-head stuff, but I also think if you're going to handicap the defender, you got to tell these offensive guys, you can't go in lowering your head.
So I don't want to get too in-depth into all of it, but this is what I'll say. I don't think when we played the game, I don't think we put as many nutrients or so-called different things in our body to get us to play. So I'm saying some of the stuff that's going on injury-wise may come from things kids are taking at a younger age. That's all I'm gonna say about that. You know what I mean?
Well, you gotta think too,
I'm no professional when it comes to that, but we were natural.
And like you played baseball too. You can anybody watching this, if you didn't realize, the man could ball too. But I'm a firm believer. I love having multi-sport guys.
Oh, 100%.
That to me creates a better athlete. You can have somebody that just trains football 24/7, but I think that's where you're getting a lot of these CL injuries and a lot of these ankle injuries and stuff, because in your normal natural football play, you're doing certain moves. Where in baseball, you're doing different moves. Basketball, you're doing, you're working different muscles, different moves and stuff. And I think back in our day, you didn't see as many of those injuries. Again, we weren't working out trying to lift 4,000 pounds either.
Right.
But you had more agility. You were more flexible. I mean, nowadays, if you watch a football game and somebody doesn't tear ACL, MCL or something, that's crazy not seeing it happen. And you look at pitchers too, they're tearing their elbows up every other game because everything's about just creating the most torque you can.
Yep.
Where you had Nolan Ryan back in the day throwing 99 at the age of 70, and he's cool. He's going to go drink a beer and eat a steak.
Yep. That's for real.
I mean, I think it's great with the technology and training and stuff that we're able to do, but I also think that we're trying to turn the human body into a machine, which it is not.
Well, so early though, before it's time, before the good Lord gives you that. Like,
you shouldn't be doing that stuff before puberty.
Man, I'm telling you, I saw a 13-year-old kid the other day, and he looked 17.
Mm-hmm.
This is a middle school basketball game now. Two guys fighting for a jump ball. He literally holds the ball, picks the ball, and the other kid up off the floor.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and the other kid wasn't small.
And I remember growing up, little leagues and stuff, when you start having kids pitching and all, they wouldn't let us throw curveballs at that age because of the pressure it would put on your elbow. And they're like, you're not developed enough to start throwing curveballs. Then once you kind of, got it figured out a little bit, they're like, okay, throw a curveball or two a game. Yeah. But that was just how it is. You go watch Little League World Series, they're 8, 9, 10-year-olds just dropping 12 to 6s, and you're like, dang, kid, like, you're not going to be able to pitch by the time you get 22. At least that's the way we did it. Willie B, what's your what do you remember about playing at Willie B?
My fondest memory was 2 interceptions against Clemson my senior year. And the dub.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, yeah. 2001 was great, though. It was great. No other interest in college football. We went and played at different places. We did. But nothing like it.
Do you make it down to a lot of games?
Not a lot, but I come down, and the renovations has been unreal, unbelievable.
It's funny. I talk to gals too that are fans, and they were born around the 90s into 2000s, so they didn't see Willie B back then when it was concrete with bird poop running down the light fixtures and stuff. And they're like, oh, Williams-Brice Stadium is so awesome. I'm like, if you only knew. And the fairgrounds, the parking area, like, you're spoiled.
They've dressed it up though.
It's spoiled. And I know a lot of people kind of are a little frustrated with ticket prices and stuff. I'm like, you got to make money. You cannot sit there and look at Williams-Brice Stadium 30 years ago and go, hey, we're cool with that. We would still be competing at this level if we still had that. No. I mean, you got to spend a little bit of money to get that stuff. And this is actually a question that everybody always asks is, has any of the other or Spurrier, Muschamp, Beamer, any of them ever reach out to you? Because, I mean, if we're not blowing smoke, as Gamecocks are concerned, you probably have one of the best NFL careers of any former Gamecock. Longevity-wise, very successful. Do any of those guys ever reach out and say, hey, come down, hang out with the team? Or are they saying, hey, these kids are too young, you too old, nobody knows who you are?
I would probably say Beamer's generation, I'm too old for that generation. He was there with Gilmore and those guys, so he had some clout with I think Johnson Joseph might have overlapped him too. But when Coach Muschamp was there, I was very involved, especially when Josh Belk got there and he was going through his mental stuff. He was from my high school. So I was running up and down 77 trying to get him really focused on the task at hand. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but hey, everything happens for a reason, and God knows what's best, you know. But I was very involved when Muschamp was there. He would stay in touch with me, the strength coach would, and as we tried to work through that process.
Was that still Coach Dillman, strength coach?
Yes.
So we won't give the details, but I was actually in Coach Tanner's suite for one of the baseball games.
Love Coach Tanner.
Yes. We won't get on that, but that guy is so chill when you start talking with him. As fans, I understand some of the aggravation people have with him, but when you get around him in those environments where, you know, he is the athletic director, you understand why he is the athletic director. Like,
okay, fill me in a little bit. I'm a little lost about the fans having some problems with him.
Well, so he gets a lot of blame with not getting Tom Herman, and people don't know the background story. This was personally told to me directly from a board of trustee that basically the contract was done. Tom Herman came in and asked for a stupidly low buyout clause. Everybody in the world knew that he was going to Texas the second he could. So that was kind of the signal that he sent. And they said, Tanner goes, no, we're not doing it, and walked away. And I'm like, I respect him more for that. And I tell everybody, I'm like, as painful as it is, go back and rewatch the Muschamp hiring video. And Tanner actually takes a shot at him because he says, we could have went out and hired people, but we don't want somebody that's just going to use this as a step. We want somebody that wants to be here long-term.
Right.
And again, as an organization, I understand why you don't release a lot of the stuff you don't. But it was that, then whoever the basketball coach was, I can't remember his name now, that they went to Hall's Chop House, and then he ended up going to another school. But everybody makes up their mind on who the next coach should be at whatever sport. And then when their coach doesn't get hired, it's Tanner's fault.
Oh, for sure.
Nobody ever hears any of the details of why that fell through, why it didn't happen. You know, again, maybe we decided it wasn't a good fit for us. Maybe we had a coach come in and he said, hey, I'm Nick Saban. I want to lose to Clemson every single year. We're going to be like, nope, sorry, bro. Nick Saban, you did great, but we don't want to lose to Clemson every year. And that's just the thing is there's so many people that pissed off at him that want him fired for every single little thing. And
be the worst mistake ever, man.
We don't see if you look across the board at our sports, we are in the middle of the most successful run ever in Carolina history of sports, not the major three and all this, but as an athletic department, we are having the most success ever. We are bringing in the most money ever. How are you going to fire a guy that does that?
It will be the worst decision ever. And whoever's talking about doing it, they have to be a Clemson fan. Whoever is on that bandwagon has to be rooting for Clemson.
So we, like we were saying, one of the ways that we really kind of got connected, you had posted something, I commented, we went back and forth about the whole recruiting world now, how some of your local guys, you know, you may be a two-star in the system, but it's not always about finding the best football player. Now it's, you know, finding some of those stars, finding this, that, the other, but how if you play at a smaller school, you're not going to get the recognition of a guy that may not be as good, but plays at a bigger school. So throw your opinion out on that, you know, explain that a little bit more to everybody and kind of where we were going with.
So I look at it like this, and I'll take my own son, for instance, right? So he's a 3-sport kid, all right? So you have perfect game rankings in South Carolina, in the state of South Carolina that came out, I think a couple of days ago, all right? There was not a multi-sport athlete in the top 10 of those PG rankings. Why?
Which they don't play
baseball when it's football season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think you got McFarland down in Hartsville. He's a committed player. He's not in there. Obviously, my own son is not in that ranking. So it's kind of like who really cares about rankings? That's the way I see it. If you got it, a coach will find you. It doesn't matter if you're a 1-star, 2-star, 5-star. Now, I think what I was hitting on was like with the way the NILs are is basically like if a kid comes here from out of state, right? And one thing goes wrong, the coach don't get sleep because I know that kid may leave. The only thing I was saying was if I was recruiting, I would definitely recruit my state because I know if there's something that go on, right, that kid has family within the state. He's been loyal, committed, probably growing up watching one of the top 2 Power 5 schools in this state, and he's going to fight through the adversity. So he has less of a chance of just saying, I'm a spoiled brat, I'm leaving, I'm not getting my way. That was my rebuttal to it. Now, I don't know what people are being offered. I just hear through the grapevine. So I think football is becoming NFL free agency, and I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for college football, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I agree. I like so I'm on the fence with the NIL. Like, I believe in the amateur athlete too. I believe there should be a goal to reach with the NFL. Yep. At the same time, I'm kind of in the mindset of all these other people are getting millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars off the back of these athletes. So why shouldn't they get a little piece of the pie?
No, but I'm not saying they shouldn't get paid.
Yeah, but and I'm with you. The transfer portal is where it needs to be adjusted.
Yes. So when I say NFL free agency, it's like the next guy is just making the number go up.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. If it was a DBs get this, wide receivers get this, QBs get this, O-line get this, D-line, I think it will level the playing field.
Well, so that's actually, and it's funny you say that, and it just kind of hit me. I don't know what they do now, but the original XFL, that was how they actually paid the players. Was each position, didn't matter who you were, what team you were, you got paid X amount of money. No pun intended with the X and the X. But then if your team won that week, the winning team got a pay raise. You got a bonus.
Yeah.
And then as you went through the playoffs, if you won like playoff week 1, there was a higher bonus, then a higher bonus, then a higher bonus for winning the championship. And I'm like, why is this not how it is? But well, you got agents and you got all this other crap. I know why it's not like it is, but what you were saying, we just, Gamecock Nation, we just saw 3 guys that, although one was actually an in-state guy, and why he decided to go to the completely other side of the country is kind of odd, but 2 of those, at least, well, I guess all 3, kind of word came out instantly of
now,
hey, they left, they're going out of state.
Let me ask you a question though. When you say he was an in-state guy, I'm asking you, did he move to the state or was he born and raised in the state? Because that makes a difference too.
I was talking about Birch. I'm pretty sure he's originally from here. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Okay. But I know at least he was not Oregon. I don't think he's from Oregon.
We know that. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's just so strange. But Marshawn Lloyd and Jaheim Bell, kind of the other 2. But from a little bit that I'd heard was Maryland really kind of got in Lloyd's ear, and then he went back home where all of his family were in Maryland. And that's one of those, as a fan, it stings. The timing and everything stung. But like you say, you can get it. If it's your home team and all, you can make that argument for it. But I think with his situation, he went for that greener pasture. Then once they actually talked X's and O's, he goes, whoa, this wasn't what we were talking about earlier. And he ends up at Southern Cal. But yeah.
Was it X's and O's or was it money? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know from a little of what I've heard, whether it has absolutely any truth or not. I don't know. But from a little bit of the grapevine that I heard, they said that once he started talking playing time and stuff, they told him that he'd be sharing snaps, which he wanted to be. Again, this is just
the primary back.
He wanted to be the number 1 guy. And I'm like, why would you want to go to Maryland to share stats when you could have stayed at the SEC? But, everybody makes their own thing. But you brought him up a second ago, so I got to ask you, that son of yours playing baseball is committed to a school that ain't South Kakalaki.
Hey, I just tell you this right here. Like I told you, I love Coach Tanner with everything I got, right? He one of my dudes. He was made aware of every situation that we went through in this process of decisions made. He understands that my son's journey is his journey, right? Monty Lee's a great guy, hard to say no to.
Now, did Monty go to Clemson, or was he recruiting him when he was still at Clemson?
Yeah. Monty Lee recruited him. And if you've ever had interactions with Monty Lee while he's in Columbia, you will commit to him right now.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reason he used to win the state and recruit.
Now, is he? What grade's your son in?
He's a junior this year. This is junior year coming up baseball.
You don't have to say. Is there any communicate before he went to Clemson or committed to Clemson? Was there communication from South Carolina? Were they recruiting him?
Can I say no comment?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Well, so
not when it should have been. No. Not when it should have been.
I get it.
Yeah.
And the reason I'd asked that, I grew up playing baseball with a guy whose nephew played locally and could freaking rake. He struggled a little bit. I'm not saying any names. He ended up going to Clemson, kind of struggled a little bit, but when I was talking to them, their family's diehard Carolina. Now they're diehard Clemson, but they were diehard Carolina. This was a kid that coming through high school was, getting a lot of recognition. And I talked to them. I'm like, come on, y'all, how y'all gonna let him go to Clemson over South Carolina? They go, they never talked to him. So they've never. I'm going, wait. Your guy's getting a lot of publicity. I mean, it's not. I don't know. Like you were saying, perfect game and everything. I don't know if there was rankings and stuff, but this was a kid that he eat, slept, and bled baseball. He was that guy that went to every baseball camp and did all this stuff. And they did. They're like, oh, they never even talked to him. Like, he went down for a camp or two. They're like, hey, you're good, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it just nothing happened.
And it's all about projectability. So like, if you see my son, but if you don't know my track record, you would be like, he's nothing. But it's not what you look like, right? It's right here and right here. Okay. And
Especially
numbers
baseball.
don't lie.
Baseball.
And numbers don't lie, right? So if I got a guy who's running 6'7" as a junior, stuff like that, 6'8", and he's been up to 90 on the mound, right? I would say that projectability is kind of projectable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But for some people, it'd be like, well, he's not big enough. He's not tall enough. He's not. I could go on and on and on. Best baseball player I ever played with was Kip Balknight. How many? Yeah. If you look at him, who would have thought he was able to be the Golden Spikes Awards winner and the most dominant SEC pitcher in that time? And I can go on and on and on and on and on and rant and rave about him. So,
and it's funny too. Like, so I posted a thing, and I don't know if you saw where I tagged you the other week when I was like, what comes to mind when you think of Sheldon Brown? Of course, 99% everybody's like, Reggie Bush, blah, blah, blah. So I did one the other day, and I said Scott Wingo. If Scott Wingo walked into a convenience store, there's not a single person on this planet that's going to go, that's a ball player right there. Yeah. But you put him on a diamond, I would take 9 of him all day long. And it's exactly what you said. It's in the heart and the head. And that's what a lot of people don't like with baseball is it is a thinking man's game.
Yep.
How many times have you seen a guy catch a fly ball in the outfield, toss it up into the crowd? Oh, there's only 2 out, or there's 1 out. Guys on 30 goes in and score. You weren't thinking. That's a basic routine play. You just nonchalantly let your guard down, and that happened. Wingo made a career at South Carolina by never turning it off. Yeah. And you got a lot of people that struggle with that. But what position your son play?
He can play anywhere on the field. He really can. He can go from the middle. He can go to the outfield. He's just an athlete. He plays 3 sports. So it's just.
Let me ask you, who's the better ball player, you or him?
Well, obviously, I would probably say him because I didn't have the technology and the training and the stuff that he has in this era. You know, I don't think it's fair to compare.
Well, and his
athletes
coaching from
today.
his dad's gotten him a little bit better too, right?
I let him go fly his own wings probably his freshman year. He started playing for another organization. I thought it was good for him. We decided on that. It's been good. I can't say anything bad about it.
Yeah, it's so I was similar situation as that, but I was the kid. So my dad, like, he played baseball all through school, ended up playing competitive travel softball, finished 7th in the world one year.
Oh,
so
wow.
I mean, like, the day I was born, he left to play in a softball tournament. The week I was released, we were on a softball field. So I tell everybody, I'm like, I literally grew up around this sport. But it was the same thing. Like, he coached me all through. And then literally the second that I started playing school ball, and like, we had the conversation, he goes, I'm done. I'm not your coach anymore. He said, we still talk. We still do all this. He goes, I'm not your coach anymore. I'm going to be your dad. I've coached you long enough. We're going to let these other people do it. You do you. Take it as far as you want to. Yeah. Unfortunately, God had different plans with me, and I was graduated at 6'1", 140, and that is not that's not the cream of the crop athlete to get recruited at 140 pounds.
So you understand where I'm coming from, especially in this day and age. And my son's not a big guy stature, but I wasn't either when I came out.
Yeah, and that's where that know-how and that play, and again, like you said, 3-sport athlete. I think that will do better for him than pretty much anything else.
Oh, I agree 1,000% with that. No doubt in my mind. That's why we do it.
Well, and I do just have one request.
Well,
I better never see you in orange and purple.
I can promise you will not see that. I'll support my kid, but I don't have to wear orange and purple to do it.
So we went, me and my cousin years ago, he dated a girl that went to Clemson, and we went to a Carolina Clemson game at Clemson. She got us tickets. So we were literally in the Clemson section wearing garnet and black head to toe. And it was back when they still would put it on local TV. For some reason, apparently people don't want to watch TV anymore. Yes, they put it on local TV. Our phones blew up. Apparently, every single time they came back from commercial, they kept putting us on camera because we're two Carolina people. We were like, if you put a square of the section, we were dead in the middle of it. Nothing but orange and purple around. So we're sitting there in garnet black. Our phones were ringing like, oh, you're on TV.
That takes some ball. That takes some ball.
Man, it's the fans are the worst, but I've also found that baseball is kind of that sport too, that you kind of respect the other team a little more. Not in Little League parents are absolutely crazy. But once you get to a higher level, there seems to be a little bit more of a nod of, okay, y'all are here, we're cool. Let's cheer our guys. Yeah. It's a different atmosphere. Now, you get some Southerners around a football field, and that's a different story. But Mr. Brown, I greatly appreciate you joining today. I'm going to throw out the offer. If there's ever we want to get together, talk some Gamecock football and stuff, or Gamecock baseball, we'll do it, man. We'll do it. If for any reason you want to make it down to the spring game, we're putting together a tailgate. So if y'all get bored on Saturday, what is it, April 15th, come on down. We got it catered. Going to have some giveaways and stuff like that. But I will let you get busy. Go make some money.
All right, brother.
Go help the community. But I do. So I sign off every single episode. My guests have to do, Derek Moore, our new, whatever his title is. Actually, I think it's director of personnel or whatever it is. I'm a terrible fan for not knowing his position, but he always does the go Gamecocks. So my guest, to sign it off, you got to hit us with a go Gamecocks.
1, 2, 3, go Gamecocks.